South Jersey's play-by-play home for the Eagles,
Touchdown!
Sixers,
It's good!
and Flyers.
Oh, big save by Carter Hart.
97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD Millville, Atlantic City, a Town Square media station. This is Sports Bash Saturday with Josh Hennig, live from the Matt Blatt Kia Studios. Now, Sports Bash Saturday. Here's Josh Hennig.
What is this? We're live on the radio on a Saturday. Yeah, Josh Hennig live in the Matt Blatt Kia Studios. Sports Bash Saturday, not 3 p.m. today. We are live on your radio here on 97.3 ESPN. Glad to have you guys back. It was been a very crazy college football season. So, listen, even though we went 2-2 last weekend, the good news is on the season for the regular season and the conference championship games, we did go 68% on the college football picks. So, very glad. Thanks to our friends over at the FanDuel Sportsbook at Bally's Hotel Casino Atlantic City, been sponsoring us all season long. We got a lot of football. We got a lot of things in general to get to today. So we will get into the NFL Week 14 schedule. Also, we'll bring you the state of South Jersey high school sports. So for those who have been checking it out, my series of articles at 973ESPN.com and the 973 ESPN mobile app, we've been giving you throughout the year an inside look at some of the schools. One of those schools was Absegami. And we're going to do a little follow-up today. The athletic director of Absegami High School, Steve Fortis, is going to join us coming up at 12:25. He will give us some insight on kind of the state of high school sports in South Jersey as we transition from the fall sports season to the winter sports season. So we will get in touch with him coming up at 12:25. Also, we will talk with Marc Raimondi of ESPN MMA reporter Marc Raimondi will join us at 1:40. UFC 269 is tonight. Of course, there is not one but two title fights on the card. The lightweight championship as well as the women's championship are on the line tonight. So a couple different ways you can get into sports action this weekend. We'll give you our picks for the weekend presented by FanDuel Sportsbook at Bally's Hotel Casino in Atlantic City. And, of course, we'll also hear from Pete Thompson. Pete Thompson is back on the road again. Thanks to Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey, Pete Thompson is live over at Roger Wilco's over in Pennsauken. He's over there with Leanne and the team over there. The chance to get you a free T-shirt. So you can say hi, Pete, from right now till 1 o'clock today. And, of course, we'll be checking with Pete Thompson in roughly about 12 minutes from now. So we'll check with Pete Thompson throughout the hour. So a very busy 2 hours here. And as always, you can join the conversation as well. 609-403-0973 is the text board. 609-403-0973 to get in on the conversation. Also, you can DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. Thanks to First Bank, Seattle City. And we are live, as always, on YouTube at 973 ESPN. All right, let's zero in here because it's a busy football Sunday coming up tomorrow. Army-Navy is today at 2 o'clock. The coverage begins here on 97.3 ESPN. But tomorrow on 97.3, we will have Dallas versus Washington on tap. And, you know, the Eagles have a bye week. So tomorrow, there's a bunch of games that can have an impact on the Eagles. And, you know, in a weekend where we got the Friday news dump about Ben Simmons yesterday, check out all those details over at 97.3 ESPN.com. We'll get to Ben Simmons a little bit later in the show. But for the Eagles on their bye week, in a city where the Sixers are struggling to win games, in a city where the Flyers somehow won a game last night. Man, did I get that call wrong last night? Woo! That was wrong by me. And, you know, in a city where basically the Phillies can just, you know, take a long walk on a short period because baseball is on a lockout right now, you look around the NFL and you realize that the Eagles are in a position to go to the playoffs. And, you know, I can't get around the fact that this season has really not been as planned. Listen, I thought the Eagles would win 7-8 games this year, but I didn't think they'd win 7-8 games and be in the conversation to be in the postseason like they are right now. Right now, the Eagles are tied with Minnesota for the same record. Minnesota won their game barely on Thursday night. They're both 6-7. They're behind Washington 6-6 and San Francisco 6-6. And for the Eagles, I don't know how you guys feel. And you can tell me what you think during the show today. But let me tell you how I feel. I feel this season is already a success because the Eagles weren't supposed to be anything. What were the Eagles supposed to be this year? They were supposed to be a team in transition. They were supposed to be, this year was supposed to be about development, retooling the roster, figuring things out. And instead, we're talking about the playoffs. I think that some credit needs to be given for that. Now, look, I'm not going to sit here and act like this team is some great team because anybody who thinks that is silly. But here's what I can tell you. The fact that the Eagles, a team that was garbage on offense last year, a team that just, it was putrid to watch. It was just bad football last year, week in and week out. Now, this team is plus 46 on the year in scoring for versus scoring against. So you go from being one of the worst teams in the NFL to a team where there's only a handful of teams better than you in scoring differential. The Eagles have scored 337 points this year. They've only allowed 291. The only teams that have a better plus-minus point differential in the NFC right now are the Arizona Cardinals, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Dallas Cowboys, the Los Angeles Rams. And that's it. That's it. The Eagles have the 5th best point differential on the year. Now, let's have some context to that. I understand that Washington started the year horrible. Their defense has been much better since their bye week. They came out of the bye week. They look like a different team. So part of their point differential at minus 51 was because of the horrible start to their season. The Green Bay Packers are plus 41. So they're right there with the Eagles. They're right in the conversation. But part of their problem was, remember, they started the season very poorly offensively, and they've gotten better as the year progressed. Remember, the first week, they got smashed by the Saints in that neutral site game in Jacksonville. A team like the Vikings, who are tied with the same record as the Eagles, they have had a roller coaster season. They have been one of the most inconsistent, erratic teams in the entire league. Then you look around at, for example, another team that is a contender, 49ers, plus 25. Now, the problem with the 49ers is in the games that Jimmy G didn't play, the offense struggled a bit. So their plus minus is a byproduct of them not having a consistent offense. But that the Philadelphia Eagles have scored more points this year, total points, than the 49ers. They've scored one more point on the year than the Los Angeles Rams. They've scored more points this year than the Green Bay Packers. Now, again, context is king. Full season encapsulation. But the point is, the Eagles should be considered a success right now, no matter what happens for the rest of the month, because you've already proven that you are better than last year. You have grown from last year. You have improved from last year. And I don't think that should be undersold. I don't think that should be not talked about more. I mean, that should be talked about way more than it has been. I'm a big believer in counting your victories. And I think the Philadelphia Eagles should be commended for where they are today compared to where they were previously. Now, I understand very much that a lot of this stuff is it's not the end all be all, right? I understand that the Eagles doing well compared to last year isn't saying much because of how poorly they played last year. But at the end of the day, the Philadelphia Eagles are a team that is better than last year. And to me, that's a positive. Now, I'm not saying that Jalen Hurts is the answer at quarterback, although I like what I've seen overall from Hurts this year. I'm not saying that the Eagles should make the postseason because, frankly, let's be realistic. Should any of these teams make the playoffs? The fact that there's a 7th seed now and there's an extra week to the NFL season has created an opportunity for much more mediocrity when it comes to the parity in the NFL. To me, once you get past Arizona, Green Bay, Tampa, Dallas, and Los Angeles in that order in the standings, you can't tell me that Washington, San Francisco, Minnesota, Philadelphia, Carolina, Atlanta, and New Orleans, all the teams that are so mathematically in it right now, that any of them are going to go out there and take down Arizona, Green Bay, Tampa in a postseason. I understand that Minnesota has beaten Green Bay this year, but that was one game. You don't think Green Bay is going to smash them the next time they see them? I understand that Washington has beat Tampa, but last year when they played in the postseason, Tampa won that game. I understand that San Francisco, when healthy, has one of the most talent-rich teams in the NFL. But do you really think that a third time that San Francisco sees Arizona, that Arizona won't have them figured out by then? I mean, Jimmy G isn't exactly the greatest quarterback in the world. Let's be realistic here. And if we're being honest, Carolina, Atlanta, and New Orleans are 3 of the most pitiful teams right now because 2 of them have ridiculous amount of injuries, and one of them, they just don't have the talent. Atlanta just doesn't have the talent on the roster to be a competitive playoff team. Carolina's injuries and New Orleans' injuries have just ransacked them and turned them into a joke. So the Eagles being in the race for the postseason is less about them than it is about the state of the NFL. But I still think that this season should be given a thumbs up. Look, credit to Nick Sirianni for learning from his mistakes. He has grown with the year. He has adapted. He has evolved. Credit to Howie Roseman for going out and not just saying, well, we want to see what a new roster does with a new coach staff. No, he went out and got some legit players in the draft. Devonta Smith, Landon Dickerson, Milton Williams. Those are your first 3 picks. They all have been contributors. All of them. So you look at this team. Guess what? They have improved. And like I said, they deserve credit for that. All right, Josh Hennig here. Sports Bash Saturday, 97.3 ESPN, of course, being brought to you by my friends over at the FanDuel Sportsbook inside Ballas Hotel Casino in Atlantic City. It's time to experience sports betting done right with live streaming games, food and beverage, self-service betting kiosks, and more. Get in on all the games you love at the FanDuel Sportsbook, conveniently located right off the boardwalk at Ballas Hotel Casino in Atlantic City. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. We'll get into the full NFL slate in the 1 o'clock hour, and I'll give you a full rundown of who I think is going to win, some picks for the weekend, and games that you want to watch. Also, don't forget, later in the show, we'll give you my UFC 269 picks, and we'll preview it all with Marc, ESPN MMA reporter at 1:40 p.m. Coming up at 12:25 p.m. today, Absegami Athletic Director Steve Fortis will join us to talk about the state of high school sports in South Jersey as we transition from the fall to the winter season. But right now, joining us on the phone line, Pete Thompson, back-to-back days, live on the road with Screwballs, peanut butter whiskey, and you have a chance to get a free t-shirt today. Him and Leanne are down there. Pete, tell the folks where you're at today. I know that you're just a busy guy right now.
Yeah, it's the Pete Thompson Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey Tour 2021, Josh. That's exactly, basically the unofficial name of what it is. We are at the Roger Wilco in Pennsauken. Roger Wilco, Pennsauken. And I got to tell you, you ever go somewhere and you have that eerie feeling like, I've been here before, right? We kind of came up the way the GPS told us. We came up on the back, and I realized that this is right in the shadow of Pennsauken High School. So I was here once for a Pennsauken Atlantic High football game, a playoff game.
Of course you were.
And I remember coming up like on a Saturday afternoon. So I never made it to Roger Wilco. I don't know that parking the TV van in front of the liquor store was the right move, but hey, we will certainly park the 97.3 ESPN van right in front. I'm telling you, if you're from this area, if you're from anywhere around here, you know where this Roger Wilco is. You can see the building. It kind of, how do I describe it? It's kind of like an igloo from outside. Like when you look at the roof of it, and there is everything in here under the sun, including the lovely and talented Jessica, who's right when you walk in. She's got her screwball promotion all set up, and Frankie's there helping her out too. And I got to tell you, she's got some fudge cut up, because the truth of it is you could do the screwball shot straight, but you also could start mixing it with stuff. So like last night, Leanne and I had cranberry and screwball, and it tasted just like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It was so good. Oh my gosh, that's definitely how I could get myself in trouble. But yeah, we're having a great time. We're here from noon until 1. You did mention the Flyers tickets, and they won last night. Holy cow, they won the hockey
I was wrong
game.
about that,
So,
Pete. Holy cow.
We'll see if they win again tonight. Look, I'll take anything right now. And Carter Hart stood on his head, and they did just enough right to pull out that hockey game. I was long in bed. I'm like Billy. Billy's 60, I'm 50. You're the young buck, Josh. You could stay up and watch it. But I got to tell you, man, and did I hear Billy say something about he's not going to make it in tomorrow? I'll drive to his damn house and pick him up if I have to. I'm not doing that show by myself.
Listen, you know how Billy is. He doesn't fully give the full story on the radio, But if we're going to pull back the curtain because you insisted on asking the question here, Pete, I'll give you the full synopsis since you dropped it on the audience right here. So basically, Billy's not feeling well again. His daughter got sick again with the sniffles, and he got his daughter's sniffles again. And for whatever reason, Billy at his age thinks that he doesn't need to take care of his health. He just kind of like ad-libs everything like he does, with so many things as we both know. So Billy has been ransacked by these sniffles again, and it's affecting his ability to talk. So,
well, you know what he needs is some screwball peanut butter whiskey. I heard it has medicinal features. That's what I heard. Now, I can't say that 100% for sure, but I heard if you just take a little toot of that screwball peanut butter whiskey at the end there, right before you go to bed, you're good to go.
Well, I don't know if Billy's going to listen to you or not. As we both know, Billy asks you and I to do things. We do them for him, and he doesn't like our ideas, right?
We listen to him. We listen to him on the way out. That's unfair. Of course, did you also know this, by the way, again, pulling back the curtain, that when you push the presets in the radio in the 97.3 van, they're all set to 97.3? I said to Leanne, I go, are there no other radio stations other than 97.3? She's like, nope, I think they do that on purpose.
Well, from what I understand, Billy is a game time decision tomorrow morning. So,
all right. Well, I'll be there no matter what. So, I just would like to say I'm showing up. I'll be there.
Well, right now you're over at Roger Wilco's over there in Pennsauken till 1 o'clock, right?
Yeah, it's 1001 technically, North Route 73, but it's right there on the corner. Geographically, it's one of those you're driving up on it and you can see the Dunkin' Donuts, the McDonald's, and the Roger Wilco are all 1, 2, 3. And trust me, Roger's no slouch. I don't know who this Wilco guy is, but he's got the prime real estate there right on the corner. So come out and see us. We're here for another hour, and try some screwball, get a shirt, throw the ring toss. maybe land yourself some Flyers tickets, New Jersey Lottery tickets, Wings tickets, back basketball tickets, you name it, we got it.
All right, people, talk to you again in about 20 minutes.
Sounds good, buddy. Take care.
Josh Hennig here on Sports Bash Saturday, 97.3 ESPN. Coming up on the other side, we will talk some high school sports in South Jersey. Yes, I've been writing the article series, taking you inside different athletic departments, and one of them is Absegami Athletics. Their athletic director, Steve Fortis, will join us next right here on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. It's free, thanks to First Bank of Seattle City, and we are live on YouTube at 973 ESPN.
Today, it's one of college football's greatest traditions when Army meets Navy. Hey, folks, this is Jason Horowitz of Westwood One Sports. Join John Sadak, Ross Tucker, and Tina Cervasio from MetLife Stadium for all the pageantry and the action. Can the Black Knights win the Commander-in-Chief's trophy again, or will the midshipmen have the upset and their biggest win of the year? If it's the Army-Navy game, it's right here.
On 97.3 ESPN, coverage begins at 2 p.m.
As a local bank with deep roots in Cape May County, Crest Savings Bank's directors, management, and employees are all part of your community. We are your neighbors, friends, and family. Our financial centers serve your personal and professional deposit, loan, and wealth management needs. We are thankful for the opportunity to serve our residents and visitors for over 100 years by providing small-town customer service with modern products. Crest Savings Bank, banking is what we do, community is who we are. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Bodega, 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 Alpha and Omega.
Why would someone looking for a mortgage at the Jersey Shore take a loan from a company in Detroit or North Carolina or some other far-off place? Online mortgages promise a lot, but don't always deliver. First Bank of Sea Isle City knows the Jersey Shore. We are local lenders. We use local appraisers and provide in-house processing. We understand the unique obstacles of financing in Cape May County. Don't take a chance. Local banking is better. Let us guide you. First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
This is Sports Bash Saturday with Josh Hennig, live from the Matt Blatt Kia Studios. Here's Josh Hennig.
We'll get back to the NFL talk in just a bit. We see a couple texts that came in over at 609-403-0970. You also can DM the show through the 973 ESPN mobile app. It's free. Thanks to First Bank of Seattle City. Right now, we're going to take a little break from the football talk. We are transitioning right now from the fall to winter season in South Jersey in high school sports. We've been writing over at 97.3 ESPN.com and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app about different high school athletic departments to kind of follow up on some of those articles on the website. We are being joined right now on the phone line. Absegami High School Athletic Director Steve Fortis joins us right now on 97.3 ESPN. Steve, I appreciate your time on a Saturday. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. And I want to start with just kind of big picture. You know, one of the things you and I talked about when I wrote the article at 97.3 ESPN.com is about, you know, kind of where everyone is right now in the aftermath of, 2020 and the lockdowns and coming out of that. And, it seems like, it was overall a successful fall sports season here in South Jersey.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. And that goes to a lot of the schools, their superintendents and board of eds and athletic departments that, learned from last year and said, all right, one thing we knew was that regardless of what's going on in the rest of society, high school athletics is going to continue. That was painfully clear last year, and we knew we were going to have a season this year. So we wanted to make sure that, we weren't going to have shutdowns. And it still happened, but it was a lot less than in the past. We didn't have to do the temperature checks like we used to do. With the vaccine being available to teenagers, it was a little bit easier. And, the society and community is more aware of it now. So they're doing their part to make sure we can have a successful season. So, yeah, it was a group effort on a lot of people's parts.
You mentioned the group effort, and I think, you mentioned but people know now. And I feel like, to me, that was the biggest thing. Like, I'm not crying a river or anything, but, I had to be on the air every day when there was nothing going on in the world, right?
Right.
But one of the things is part of the reason why we were having the conversations we were in April and May in 2020 is because there was so much we didn't know. And now that it's 2021 in December, for goodness sake, we are so far removed from the beginning of this to now. And I feel like because people know more now than they did back then, it feels like that should make, I don't want to say the job easier, but at least a little bit less ridiculous for someone like you to do what you need to do.
Yeah, I mean, the kids understand the concept of wearing a mask when they're in the school building. They understand about, and they'll come in from a practice outside and they forget to put their mask on. So you're constantly, guys, mask. But parents come in and they, oh shoot, I forgot a mask. They run back out to their car. So, and it's just something that we've gotten used to, and it's become a pattern now. We haven't had a winter season since last April. Was the last time we had people inside of our gyms, other than if you had a volleyball season this year. So getting the spectators used to, hey, when you come into a public high school in South Jersey, you're going to need to be wearing a mask if you're sitting in the stands, and we want you to try to spread out as much as possible, which, in some schools it's easier than others because everyone's got different facilities, but that's the big, obstacle that we're facing coming up in the next couple of weeks.
Now, you mentioned about the obstacle coming up here. Obviously, the biggest difference from fall to winter is that you're moving indoors. And,
Right.
I understand that, and I'm not trying to, point anybody out or something, but obviously, this time of year, people want to be together. People want to spend time with their families. They want to do things, right? So, this is a time of year where I feel like there has to be a little bit extra vigilance when it comes to all of these protocols that, let's be realistic, you didn't make the protocols. You have to enforce the protocols that have been given to you.
And, in all honesty, it's not really hard. It's wear a mask. That's as complicated as it is. Wear a mask into a school. Now, 18 months ago, we just said, someone walking into a school with a mask on, you thought they were going to commit a crime.
Right.
But, now it's if you can do that, we can have a successful season. It's not going to prevent 100% of the problems, but at least it's the safest thing you can do in order to see your kid play and to see your neighbor play and to make sure these kids can have a good season. So, that's as hard as it is. It's just wear a mask.
Absegami Athletic Director Steve Fortis joining us here on Sports Bash Saturday on 97.3 ESPN. Steve, one of the things also we saw in the fall season was we saw a lot of kids in South Jersey have amazing seasons. And one of them is at your school, Ray Weed. I mean, this is 4 straight years that this young man has had over 1,000 passing yards. And it was amazing that last year he was able to put up the numbers he did in such a crazy environment. And he just looked even better this year.
Yeah, and people forget too. He was not the starting quarterback his freshman year until halfway through the season. So when you add up all his shortened COVID season last year and his freshman year, he probably had 3.5 years as a career. So for him to accomplish that is really quite a remarkable feat. He's a very talented, very unique athlete.
When you think about Absegami over the years with football, obviously you've had a lot of talented young men come through there. Obviously, Abdullah Anderson, he's had some time in the NFL. You've had so many young men who come through there. What has separated the kids that you've seen on the field this year from the teams that have been there in the past?
Well, I think that, and I attribute this as a hangover from COVID. Our numbers were not where they needed to be in order to have the season you want to have. Football is a grind. It's 12 to 13 weeks. It's a pounding. Not that other sports aren't, but when you don't have depth on a roster, and you're going from a senior starter to a sophomore, if somebody goes down, that's a big difference in high school. So I think that's the difference in what I saw with our team. We had a starting, at one point, one of the starting quarterbacks was a sophomore. We had a starting running back who was a sophomore. We were very young. And in the past, we were able to, because we had more kids out, we were able to survive that grind of the schedule. This year, we had to resort to a lot of sophomores. The team we thought we were going to have in May is not the team we ended up with in September, but we had to adjust.
Now, one of those adjustments also is, as I talked about in my article on 97.3 ESPN.com, there's been some new coaches in South Jersey, and one of them is at your guys' school, Chris Sacco. Talk about what he has brought to your school now that he is there.
In many ways, he's similar to our predecessor, Dennis Scuderi. Both of them are very, they love football. They're X and O guys. They're committed to the kids. And the two of them talk all the time in the hallway. They get along really well. So we've been fortunate, been in schools where the ex-head coach doesn't like the new head coach and chirps behind their back, and that's never good. But Chris has been, he's a guidance counselor. He understands the struggles a lot of these kids are going through. And he understands what it takes to build a program, to rebuild a program. Not that we're a 500 program. We're trying to get to the next level, and he understands what it takes to get to that next level.
You mentioned about the next level. I feel like, and I'm not saying this to be, gratuitous, but, one of the things for you guys is I think people overlook sometimes schools like an Absegami or your sister school like Oakcrest because, other schools get the headlines. If there was something that you could tell people about Absegami that you don't think that they know about, what is it?
I'd have to say that we are like any other high school in South. You can compare us to Ocean City, to Cedar Creek, to mainland. We're so similar in what we offer and what we can afford kids that, there's not a huge difference between the public schools in this area. So I think everybody thinks that, whether it's, who the coach is or the color of the jersey or whatever the case may be, they're really not that much difference. I think we have a lot to offer that people don't know about. From, we have classes in EMT certification, lifeguard certification, firefighting, landscape management. Like, we're trying to do some things to get kids jobs and careers. And the second they walk out the door as a senior, in addition to getting them to go off to college and pursue, careers that way. So I think that's a little bit of something that people don't know. They just think they think a high school is what it was when they were there, and it's not.
Now, looking ahead to the winter season, obviously we mentioned the fact that people have to wear the mask indoors, but what are some other things that you want people to know about the winter sports season in this calendar year?
Well, we're going to try to do what we've normally done, which is run a regular basketball season, 3 levels, run a regular girls season, a wrestling program. Swim's been going on for the past 3 weeks already, and we've had a couple successful swim meets. So, I mean, I want them to know that it's back to normal, but you just got to wear a mask.
Right. Well, it's for lack of a better term, it's normal, but it's different because, like, for example, right now, if you're traveling, for example, you have to go to the airport and wear a mask, for example. There are still, whether people like it or not, these rules we're pretty much, I'm not trying to be, mean about it, but we're stuck with them till further notice.
Correct. And, just yesterday, I think Atlantic County went back into the high range for a number of cases. So that means that, a quarantine goes back from 10 days to 14 days. So, things are trending in the wrong direction in South Jersey. And as soon as those hospitals start getting inundated, that's when all these other restrictions start coming into place. So, if everybody can just, do their part, and be a good citizen and do their part, we can try to get through it and be as normal as possible.
Yeah. And like I said earlier, and I want people to remember that, what you're doing, what the coaches are doing, what everyone's doing right now, it's not your fault. You're not responsible for any of these things. You're just doing what you have to do to make sure everything works. Because at the end of the day, whether people want to admit it or not, high school athletics are about the kids. It's not about, all the other minutia that goes along with it.
Yeah. And that's probably the biggest change I've seen in 15 years in this job is that, the amount of people who forget the fact that it's kids and it's high school sports. It's not the NFL. It's not the NBA. They're teenagers. They're worried about how they look in front of their friends. They're worried about how they appear on social media. And, the last thing they want to do is get, the car ride home, have a debrief on everything they did wrong in the game. They know what they did wrong. They were there. They played it, So I think that's the biggest change I've seen. And I hope that, go to a new season with a new attitude, we can have a successful run at it.
Steve Fortis, Absegami Athletic Director, joining us right here on 97.3 ESPN. Obviously, the winter sports season right around the corner. Steve, I appreciate you jumping on. Merry Christmas to you and yours, and hopefully everything goes smoothly with the winter season for you guys over there at Absegami.
Appreciate it, Josh, and glad to be on and help out. So, and have a good holiday.
Always good to talk with Steve Fortis, Athletic Director over at Absegami High School right here on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennig hanging out with you here in the Matt Black Kia studios. Matt Black Kia wants to get you approved today. Matt Black Kia on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township. Visit them online at mattblackkia.com. We'll be checking in with Pete Thompson over there at Roger Wilco over there in Pennsauken in just a moment here on 97.3 ESPN. Before we get to Pete, though, I got to read this one text because it's really funny. This texter who didn't leave their name, so I can't give them credit for or against this. The texter chimed in and says, "How is it you can tell your listeners that Green Bay will crush the Vikings? Just stop it, and happy holidays." First of all, I love the part that he yells at me and then he ends the text with happy holidays. I mean, there's nothing funnier than a person who gets mad at you and then drops a happy holidays at the end of the text. I mean, that's just priceless. Second of all, texter, if you would have remembered what I said is that despite the fact that the Vikings beat Green Bay this year, if they were to meet in the playoffs, that would be the third time they play. And anytime two teams from the same division play for a third time, I'm going to go with the better team. And the Packers are just a better team than the Vikings. They have the better quarterback, the better coach, the better defense, the better offensive line, the better pretty much everything except for like 2 positions on the field. They had the better running back. It's across the board. So that's why I'm saying that will happen. Now, maybe you don't like the word crush. How about this? They'll defeat them. They'll beat them. They'll win. By the way, Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to you too, Dexter. All right, we're back with Pete Thompson here, checking in from Roger Wilco over in Pennsauken for Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey. Pete, how's it going over there?
Doing well, Josh. Are you making friends in everywhere you go? The message board is lighting up with compliments on what a great job you're doing.
Oh, you know how it is, Pete. You know, you have your people who get mad at you, the people who love you. You know, it's kind of like a 50-50 split.
Well, you do sound great here at the Roger Wilco in Pennsauken. We're right at 1001 North 73. It's right next to the Dunkin' Donuts and the McDonald's. And yes, Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey is why I'm here. And, you know, it's funny, Josh, because I got to admit, I didn't know about Screwball when I was asked to start doing this. And before the very first one last week, I said, boy, you know, I probably better taste this now, right? And it's damn good. I cannot tell a lie. It's good, smooth whiskey, and it basically goes down smooth, and you can mix it with so much stuff. Jessica is right in front here when you walk into the Roger Wilco. You can't miss her. She's also 5'11", by the way, so you cannot miss her. You literally cannot miss Jessica. She is a very tall drink of water and or Screwball. And she is here with pieces of fudge out on the table, so you can basically have yourself like a little Reese's peanut butter cup with the Screwball as the peanut butter half of it. Last night, Leanne and I had cranberry with Screwball, and that tasted like peanut butter jelly, essentially. There's all kinds of things you can mix with it. Gil loves to mix bananas, the bananas liqueur with it. All kinds of things you can mix with the peanut butter whiskey. And I got to tell you, man, it's 35% alcohol by volume. So, like the lovely and talented Danielle just showed up for her thing, and she's, 78 pounds soaking wet. So if she had Screwball, forget about it. She wouldn't be able to walk out of here. But it's smooth, it's tasty, and we're here. And we just had our, I guess it's about a 5th or 6th contestant to play the ring toss game. That's the fun part too. I always enjoy watching somebody put inflatable reindeer antlers on their head, and then the other person throws the rings at them, and you try to land one on the horn, basically. And it's much more difficult than it looks. And so that's how you can win a pair of Flyers tickets. But we have tickets to MAC basketball. We have tickets to the Wings. We have New Jersey lottery tickets, all kinds of stuff out here. So please come out and see us at 1001 Route 73 in Pennsauken, the Roger Wilco in Pennsauken. Leanne and I are on our Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey Tour 2021.
Really quick, what do you know what Flyers game those tickets are for?
I do. They are for the Ottawa game on Saturday, December 18th. And the funny thing about that is, even if they had lost last night, Ottawa is one of the worst teams in the league. They fired their coach as well. So, I mean, listen, if you were ever going to get tickets and be like, well, I don't know if they're going to win, they got a good chance because Ottawa's just as bad as the Flyers have been. So, plus free tickets. Josh, these are not like hang your coat on the heat register tickets. They're like, I think they're section 108. I think
nice.
I know they're lower level. I looked at them in the car, and we have them here with us. So come on out and see us.
Roger Wilco, Pennsauken. Go have a sample of Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey. Take a picture with the PT. Have a chance to win Flyers tickets. You can do it right now. Roger Wilco over in Pennsauken. Pete, good to hear from you again. And by the way, good luck with Billy Schwein tomorrow. He just left.
Thanks, Josh. And I enjoyed your interview with Steve Fortis. Steve's a good man and president of Cape Atlantic League. And I actually said, we're here at the store. People are a lot of traffic going on. I said, hey, can you turn that up? I actually want to hear this. Nice job by you.
Well, Pete, I'm glad that I could at least entertain you. How about that?
Yep. Well, audience of one. That's me.
All right, Pete. Talk to you later.
See you, Josh. Take care, bud.
All right, we'll get back to your guys' text at 609-403-0973. As always, you can DM the show through the 973 ESPN mobile app. thanks to First Bank of Sea Isle City. And, of course, we're live on YouTube at 973 ESPN. A little news came out today about one NFL coach who might be out sooner than later. It's not Nick Sirianni. It's somebody in the AFC South. We'll talk about that as well coming up here on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. Thanks to First Bank of Sea Isle City. You can DM the show. And, of course, we are live on YouTube at 973 ESPN. I'm Josh Hennig, and this is Game Night. I'm sorry, Sports Bash Saturday. I don't even know what day it is. I haven't done this show in so many weeks because of college football. I don't even know where I am or what I'm doing. Well, actually, you do know where I am. I'm in the Matt Black Kia Studios.
It's Sixers basketball tonight on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the 76ers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
Maxey to Harris. What a slam by Tobias Harris. Right down Broad Street. A two-hand slam.
The Sixers host the Warriors. Coverage begins at 8:30. Philadelphia 76ers basketball on your radio home of the Sixers in South Jersey. 97.3 ESPN.
With GMF approval excludes Corvette. Hold everything. Before you sell or trade your vehicle, get to Bennett Chevy for the best offer ever. Now till the end of the year, Bennett Chevrolet is paying a minimum $8,000 for any trade. That's the starting offer. $8,000 for any old bomb you can get to our lot towards any pre-owned vehicle in stock. Think about that. If we're paying a minimum $8,000, imagine how much more we'll pay for a good trade. And we'll buy yours even if you don't buy ours. Bennett wants your trade. So grab your title or payment book and get here today. Looking for new? We all know the high prices dealers are charging these days, but Bennett still refuses the opportunity to charge a penny over MSRP. Stuck in a lease? We can get you out early. Every make and model. Come see what your vehicle's worth today. There's absolutely no obligation and no pressure. Because our non-commissioned sales staff is paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. Find new roads at Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Some people are easily moved.
Wasn't that just the saddest movie ever?
Whatever. Others, not so much.
Oh, look at the puppies!
Just dogs, but smaller, so what? But even those who aren't easily moved.
Look, your long-lost brother's been found!
Oh, hi, Mike. Can be moved by us. Yeah. We're that good.
Use Clark's Moving and Storage in Rio Grande for your next local or long-distance move. Visit Clark's Moving and Storage online at clarksmoving.net.
Hey, we get it. You don't want to be hearing a Progressive commercial right now, so let us tell you something you do want to hear. You are powerful. You're a warrior who bathes in your enemy's tears. Then you step out of that refreshing tear bath and into a bathrobe that somehow looks good on you. Yeah, you can pull off a robe. There. Don't you feel better? You'll also feel better when you save money for driving safely with Snapshot from Progressive. Savings you can use to buy more robes. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Snapshot not available in California, North Carolina, or from all agents.
High prices don't get you a great network. A great network gets you a great network. It's why Total Wireless runs on the largest, most dependable network with nationwide 5G. And now our totally unlimited plan is just $50 a month for talk, text, and high-speed data that never run out. Get unlimited laughing, scrolling, unlimited everything. Total Wireless. Do amazing. Available at Total Wireless stores. Capable device and SIM required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary. Total Wireless reserves the right to review your account after 60 gigs. Terms and conditions at totalwireless.com/terms.
Green 38.
Hey there, South Jersey football fans. Baldy here to tell you why going green is more than an Eagle state of mind. It's the future. EMT Solar Roofing, along with Solar Guardians, Want to save you thousands by going green with a new solar panel system or updating your existing system? Visit ESPNSolar.com to get started on your solar game plan with the champs from EMT Solar Roofing and Solar Gardens. Go green at ESPNSolar.com.
Why would someone looking for a mortgage at the Jersey Shore take a loan from a company in Detroit or North Carolina or some other far-off place? Online mortgages promise a lot but don't always deliver. First Bank of Sea Isle City knows the Jersey Shore. We are local lenders. We use local appraisers and provide in-house processing. We understand the unique obstacles of financing in Cape May County. Don't take a chance. Local banking is better. Let us guide you. First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Get to Matt Blatt Kia during the Command the Season sales event and put zero down. Pay zero interest for 60 months or make no payments for 90 days. Stuck in a loan or lease? Matt Blatt Kia can get you released. We want to approve you today. Choose from the largest selection of certified pre-owned Kias at mattblattkia.com. So bring us any trade, no matter the make, no matter the mileage, no matter the condition. So treat yourself this holiday season and drive away in a new Kia with zero down and zero interest for 60 months on every 2022 Kia Stinger, or make no payments until next year during the Command the Season sales event.
It's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
Offers with approved Tier 1 or 2 credit through Kia Motors Finance. Not all will qualify. 0% based on 1667 per 1,000 borrowed. Negative equity financed into new loan. Excludes taxes, title, license. Offers don't combine. Call 877-289-6670 or go to mattblattkia.nj.com for complete details. Expires 1/3/22.
Matt Blatt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
And now on Route 37 in Toms River.
This is Sports Bash Saturday with Josh Hennig, live from the Matt Blatt Kia Studios. Here's Josh Hennig.
All right, back here in the Matt Blatt Kia Studios. I got to get to this story before we get to the next break. Before we get back to the text, we'll break down the full NFL schedule and UFC 269 the next hour and how it all impacts the Eagles this Sunday's games. But so Tom Pelissaro of NFL Network was first when I saw report this. So apparently there is growing tensions. Okay, I'm going to try not to laugh to this report. I'll be hyper serious here. Questions in league circles about whether Urban Meyer stays in Jacksonville could end after one season as tensions grow and a toxic environment and a shifting of blame in the organization for this season, along with Meyer's criticism of the wide receivers, has created some dissension in the locker room. Oh my goodness. I mean, listen, I didn't think Urban Meyer was going to work out in Jacksonville, but this is next level. What is going on here? I mean, this dude has completely just dropped the ball left and right. You know, I remember at the end of the Chip Kelly era, how toxic it got, how players were literally just calling him out in the media. Everyone was happy afterward. I mean, I remember Scott Grayson, because he used to cover the Eagles in the locker room. They're doing locker room access now, but Scott Grayson, I remember telling us on 97.3, after Chip Kelly was fired, it was like the whole locker room changed. By the way, Scott Grayson will be on the locker room with Billy Schwein tomorrow with an Eagles bye week update here on 97.3 ESPN. I'm Josh Hennig, hanging out with you here on Sports Bash Saturday. Still to come, I'll give you some picks for the NFL weekend, UFC 269. Of course, all the picks presented by my friends with the FanDuel Sportsbook at Bally's Hotel and Casino in Atlantic City. Also, ESPN MMA reporter Marc will join us live from Vegas coming up at 1:40 p.m. Eastern Time to preview UFC 269. All that and more, and your texts next.
Tomorrow on Compass Media Network's coverage of the NFL. It's a crucial Week 14 showdown from our nation's capital as the Washington football team hosts the Dallas Cowboys. Hi, this is Jerry Recco. Join Kevin Ray, Danny White, myself for all the action as these two longtime NFC East foes square off. Can Dak and the Cowboys earn another tough road victory, or will Washington make up ground in the standings? It's the Cowboys and the Washington football team. If it's the NFL, it's right here.
It's NFL Sunday on 97.3 ESPN. Coverage begins at 12:30.
It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan. Looking for some holiday cash? Then don't miss Matt Blatt Nissan's holiday vehicle buyback. It doesn't matter what you drive. AJ the Dream Man wants to buy your vehicle today. Regardless of the make, miles, condition, or situation, AJ will buy your ride for cash today. That's right, AJ and Matt Blatt Nissan will buy your vehicle for cash today. Treat yourself to a brand new Nissan. Like Zip, zero, zilch, zero down, zero payments, zero interest on every new Matt Blatt Nissan. That's a brand new Nissan with 0% financing, 0 payments for 90 days, and 0 money down. And AJ says you'll get more cash than you think and drive away with peace of mind because only Matt Blatt Nissan has a 4-day love it or leave it return policy. MattBlattNissan.com. Negative equity will be refinanced into new vehicle. Rate qualifications exist. Not all will qualify. 0% APR financing based on $27.77 per thousand borrowed. Offers can't be combined. Call 877-289-6670 or go to MattBlattNissan.com for complete details. Offer at 1/5/2022. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
Football is here. Get in on the action and download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now or visit DraftKings Sportsbook at Resort Casino Hotel for the ultimate sports betting experience with massive TVs and game day drink specials. For a limited time, DraftKings Online Sportsbook is offering new customers $200 in free bets instantly once they bet $1 on any football game. Get in on the action with promo code RESORTS or visit DraftKings Sportsbook at Resorts Casino Hotel. Must be 21 or older, New Jersey only, new mobile customers only, minimum $5 deposit and $1 wager required, one per customer, restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Only Wendy's serves up.
Our everyday lives are being dominated by the global supply chain problem caused by the pandemic. Hi, Tom McAllister from McAllister the Service Company. Restarting and returning the global economy to its pre-pandemic levels is going to take time. After over 145 years in business, including 2 pandemics, we've developed long-lasting relationships with our distribution partners that value our business. These relationships pay off in times of need. We've been assured that although there may be some minor delays, we're all but guaranteed the availability of parts and equipment in the upcoming winter months and into the spring with minimal price increases. For award-winning quality and dependability, talk to the experts at McAllister 609-927-4122 or at mcservice.com for all of your heating and air conditioning needs. McAllister cannot control the weather, but we can control your comfort.
Hey, South Jersey, it's Mike Gill. If you bet Michigan to win the college football championship, prop swappers want your sports bet. Michigan was 100-1 this year. Now they're just 2 wins away from winning it all. PropSwap has thousands of buyers waiting to buy all your sports bets, and they're paying big money. Maybe you have a long shot Cincinnati ticket or in pro football. How about a New England ticket? All these teams are selling for huge money on PropSwap. So cash in right now by going to PropSwap.com or download the free PropSwap app.
When you hear this,
They've got him again!
and this,
Backhand shot, he scored!
and this,
Oh boy, what a move by Embiid!
you think of us. We are sports. 97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a town square media station. This is Sports Bash Saturday with Josh Hennig, live from the Matt Blatt Kia Studios. Now, Sports Bash Saturday. Here's Josh Hennig.
1 hour until coverage begins of Army-Navy right here on 97.3 ESPN FM. We're also live on YouTube at 97.3 ESPN for today's show. And of course, you can listen to us anywhere in the world through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, thanks to First Bank of Sea Isle City. Josh Hennig hanging out with you here on a Saturday afternoon. Also tonight, Sixers basketball on 97.3 ESPN. Coverage begins at 8:30 p.m. Tom McGinnis on the call. Steph Curry trying to break the all-time three-pointers made record of Ray Allen. Needs 10 three-pointers made to do it tonight. And, of course, that all comes on the heels of this Ben Simmons fiasco, as we wrote about yesterday at 97.3ESPN.com. Basically, a lot of the stuff I've been telling you guys here on 97.3 on game night for weeks now was confirmed yesterday by ESPN NBA insider Adrian Wojnarowski, because basically, as we wrote about 97.3 ESPN.com, Woj is basically reporting that the Sixers are accelerating trade talks, that the Sixers are at a point right now where it seems like whatever's going on in the Sixers front office has initiated them to have more conversation. Now, I don't know if that's because more teams are more open to getting a deal done now that we're close to that December 15th deadline, when, according to Adrian Wojnarowski, approximately 84% of the league will be available to be traded. It's one of those deals where I would love to know exactly what the catalyst of this was, but whatever the primary catalyst is, it seems like the Sixers are not going to be waiting 4 years to trade Ben Simmons. That's for sure. And I think it's for the best for everybody. Let's be realistic. Nobody wants Ben Simmons to be gone more than Ben Simmons. And I don't think anybody wants to get a deal done more than Daryl Morey. But Daryl Morey is not going to give up Ben Simmons for Andrew Lang, Jeff Hornacek, and Tim Perry. And I use that example because obviously that was the return the Sixers got for Charles Barkley, to emphasize the point that, you don't want to trade Ben Simmons away for nothing. And there are plenty of players out there to be had. But this idea that it has to be Damian Lillard or it has to be Bradley Beal, I'm not buying that. What I'm buying is the Sixers need to change their roster, because Joel Embiid is having to do way too much work. Frankly, I'm uncomfortable watching the Sixers at times this year. There are games, especially the 2 Charlotte games and a couple others like the Minnesota overtime loss, where you watch the game and you're just like, this is not a good look, man. And, when I look at the 76ers, I know for a fact that they got to change some things, right? They got to make a move. They got to make a change. And there are teams that are going to be desperate to make moves. Teams are going to get desperate. And if you want a guy like Ben Simmons, if you think a defensive perimeter force of nature who is a very good open scorer, runner of the break, who's a good facilitator, can change your team, then go get Ben Simmons, because the league is full of dudes who can score. Almost every team has a guy who can get you a bucket, but not every team has a guy who can get the ball to the player to get them a bucket. And that's really what the difference is. Ben Simmons is a 3-time All-Star, and he has value because he does things that half of the league either can't do or won't do. Half of the league cannot be a high-level distributor. Half of the league are just unwilling defenders. And the other half of the league are guys like Tyrese Maxey and Seth Curry, who are just poor perimeter defenders. The Sixers' perimeter defense has basically gone down the toilet at this point. And when you watch Sixer games, you realize that, for as much as we complain about Jonathan Gannon and his defense, guess what? The Eagles' defense has actually been adequate for the most part. They've gotten trashed by Patrick Mahomes, Derek Carr, and Tom Brady. I'm not exactly crying a river over that. Dak Prescott shredded the Eagles' defense. Okay, so 3 of the 4 quarterbacks I named are among the top 6 in the NFL, and Derek Carr is among the top 12 in the NFL. So the Eagles' 4 worst games defensively came against 4 of the top 12 quarterbacks in the league. So for as much as we can play about the Eagles' defense, the Sixers are a completely different situation. They're not having poor defense because they're playing great teams night in, night out. They got shredded by Kelly Oubre and Gordon Hayward, who found, the fountain of youth, for goodness sake. That's who's shredding you right now. That's unacceptable. So to me, the Sixers got to make changes to the roster. Now, I understand it's not going to be easy. Part of the reason why you got to wait to December 15th is because you need to be able to trade contracts. For example, I wouldn't be surprised if Furkan Korkmaz gets traded in one of these deals. I wouldn't be surprised if even Shake Milton gets moved in one of these deals just to make the contracts work. You're going to see a crazy number of contracts have to get moved for this deal to get done. Remember, the James Harden deal involved 4 teams. It was the Nets, it was the Cavs, it was the Pacers, and it was Houston. And in order for Jarrett Allen to land in Cleveland, for Karis LeVert to land in Indiana, Oladipo had to go to Houston, and Harden had to go to Brooklyn. All these moving parts have to happen. The people forget that when the Sixers traded Andre Iguodala in the deal that got them Andrew Bynum, the number of players that got moved in that deal, to me, is still confusing. Like, I still don't understand how this trade happened, because Denver traded Aaron Aflalo and Al Harrington back in 2012, along with draft picks. Iguodala ended up in Denver. By the way, in the trade that the Sixers got, they also got the pick that got them Dario Saric, which is confusing in and of itself. I mean, Josh McRoberts, remember him? He got moved in this deal. Andrew Bynum went to the Sixers, for goodness sake. Aflalo and Harrington went to the Magic. Nikola Vucevic and Maurice Harkless were moved in this deal. And by the way, part of that deal with the Sixers and the Magic is how they got the Landry Shamet pick later on. I mean, there were so many moving parts in this crazy trade. And by the way, Iguodala was involved in 2 ridiculous trades. He was traded a year later, and the other side of the Golden State. So that's how these trades work. There's a bunch of random dudes who get moved in these big trades because you got to make the salary cap numbers work. So Furkan Korkmaz is definitely a candidate to be traded. Shake Milton is definitely a candidate to be traded. I mean, maybe even George Niang is even a candidate to be traded, even though I don't know if I would trade him. And by the way, no one's saying that the Sixers can't trade Tobias Harris too. Now, I'm not saying I want them to trade Tobias Harris, but I'm just saying that if you're serious about overhauling the roster, to me, there's only a couple guys who are untouchable and everybody else can be moved. Obviously, Joel Embiid is the complete untouchable. He's tier 1. He's like the number 1 guy you don't trade. And then I have a couple guys in tier 2. I don't think you should trade Maxey or Seth Curry. I think Seth Curry has grown leaps and bounds as a player in the last few years as a professional basketball player. And I like where he's at right now. I feel like Seth is pretty much at the peak of who he is right now. And I don't want to lose that guy. I feel like he has too much value to this team. And he's basically been at times the number 2 scorer, or at least the second most reliable scorer on this team. And even though he's shooting a little bit less efficiently from 3-point range compared to last year, when he shot 45%, he's still shooting 41%, but he's taking more 3-point shots. And he's averaging 4 more points a game. His game has grown. He actually can get his own shot a little bit now. He actually has more moves in his arsenal. So I don't want to get rid of that guy. I also don't want to get rid of Danny Green. I understand there's a lot of Sixer fans who have this hate for Danny Green, which I don't understand why. I just think you can't undersell his value in the locker room. I feel like Danny Green is the one guy who can walk in that locker room because he has rings on his hand and he can say, guys, we should do this. Guys, we should do that. He's a leader. I don't want to give up on leaders. I don't want to give up on a veteran who is a good guy in the locker room. And the fact that Green has those rings, he won a championship with the Spurs. He won it with the Lakers. He won it with the Raptors. He has the cachet that guys are going to listen to. I don't think Tobias Harris is untouchable. It's just he has a fat contract and it's going to be hard to make the numbers work because a team like the Indiana Pacers, just to use an example, there are reports they're going to blow up their roster. Well, the problem is that right now the contracts of Domantas Sabonis and Karis LeVert, their salary right now combined is equal to Tobias Harris. So while I would love to see a guy like Karis LeVert or Sabonis in a Sixers uniform, you would have to trade both of them for Tobias Harris. And there's no way the Pacers are doing a 2-for-1 for Tobias Harris because Domantas Sabonis is their best player at this point in time. And he's going to be eligible for a big max contract moving forward. And Karis LeVert, let's be realistic, he's had some injuries. So the Sixers aren't going to look at him as some major guy to get in return. But Karis LeVert is a guy who makes sense for the Sixers because of the fact that LeVert is a guy who plays multiple wing positions. He's an underrated defender. He's a guy who can be a secondary ball handler in different situations. And he's a scorer. He's a scorer who can play defense. I like him. And I think that at his age, 27 years old, he would be a good fit for the Sixers. The problem is that if you're going to get a guy like him or a Sabonis and give up Tobias Harris, or in a Ben Simmons big trade, if you want to get a guy like DeJounte Murray from the Spurs, other contracts got to move too. It can't be a 1-for-1. And that's why when Woj reported yesterday that, there are conversations being had on more of a 2 or 3-way deal structure involving the Sixers to land who they wanted, I think it comes down to the fact the money has to work. If the money doesn't work, what's the point, right? What's the point of making the deal if the money doesn't work? Because then the trade is going to just be nullified by the NBA anyway. Now, the other thing is, Karl Anthony Towns spoke to the media last night. And this is the quote he said, and this is a big reason why the Timberwolves are considered the most desperate team right now in the trade market. This is a quote from Karl Anthony Towns last night at the postgame presser. Quote, "I've lost for a long time here, and I'm not trying to bleeping lose anymore. It's pretty simple as that. Food don't taste good. Life don't feel the same. unquote. So if Towns is dropping cuss words at a post-game presser, he's a pretty chill dude. Listen, we talked with Scoop B, NBA Insider, earlier this week, and he told us, he's like, look, man, I was with Karl Anthony Towns last week, he said, and people with him are telling people that he's in a situation where he wants to be in Minnesota. He's happy that his BFF, D'Angelo Russell, is there. But he needs to get moved. I'm sorry, he doesn't want to get moved. This Minnesota Timberwolves have to make a move. Don't forget, they have an ownership change coming on board. Billionaire Marc Lore and his partner, MVP Alex Rodriguez from baseball, they're buying the team. They want to create a different culture in that organization than what Glenn Taylor has done. Part one has always been getting D'Angelo Russell. They keep Karl Anthony Towns happy. The number two piece for them might be Ben Simmons, because they don't have a legit perimeter defender. They don't have a legit point guard. Ben Simmons can be their point guard / point forward. They can move D'Angelo Russell basically into that 2-guard role. And that's why, for someone like me, I say, look, if Minnesota is serious about moving on, they might have to give up Anthony Edwards. I know some people out there are like, Anthony Edwards? They're never giving up Anthony Edwards. Time out. Never say never. Remember, the Detroit Pistons had to give up Adrian Dantley, who was one of the best scorers in the NBA at the time, to get a Mark Aguirre to turn them into the team that won championships. The Golden State Warriors didn't all go to Kevin Durant's house just for the fun of it. They went there to recruit him because they realized the team as currently constructed wasn't enough to win a championship against the LeBron James Cavs year in and year out. People forget, when the Warriors won their first championship, it was against LeBron James, Timothy Mozgov, and Matthew Dellavedova. Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love were both injured in those finals. So, excuse me, for a team like the Timberwolves, if they're serious about making moves, they got to go all in. Excuse me. And so Anthony Edwards would be a guy that I can imagine Daryl Morey turns to the Sixers brass and says, this guy makes sense. And for a team like Sacramento, for as much of a dumpster fire you are, you might have to give up on a De'Aaron Fox if you want to move Buddy Hield as well. Listen, if Sacramento calls the Sixers and says, we'll give you Fox and Buddy Hield, the Sixers have to listen to that. Not because Buddy Hield or De'Aaron Fox are top 10 players in the league, but as Woj reports, the Sixers are trying to land a top 25 guy for Simmons. You could make the argument that De'Aaron Fox might not be top 25, but he's definitely top 30. Anthony Edwards is not top 25, but he's going to eventually be in that conversation. So I can see the Sixers landing a couple different guys in a trade who they're not themselves top 10 guys, but they're guys who would be excellent complementary players to Joel Embiid. And to me, that's the bigger point in all this. You got to compliment Embiid. Text board is open at 609-403-0973 to get on the conversation. Nick from Brigantine chimes in and says, Josh, do you think Ben Simmons' stock is going up or going down from last year's playoffs to the start of his holdout, and from the start of his holdout until now? Frankly, Nick, I think that Ben Simmons' stock has actually been the same since the end of the playoffs until now. I don't think it's going up or down, because I think a lot of teams have this attitude, whether it's right or wrong, that, well, it'll be different here. You know, how many teams have given players opportunities in different places because they assumed that the player just wasn't working out where they were at? You know, Stephon Marbury was a phenomenally talented player, but the reason why he got traded multiple times and he played with the Timberwolves and the Suns and the Nets and the Knicks is because every team was like, well, he'll work here. Just because he didn't work there doesn't mean he won't work here. And that's how teams are. I think people look at Ben Simmons in a similar way that they looked at Stephon Marbury. I think that when Stephon Marbury got traded from Minnesota to Jersey, and then from Jersey to Phoenix, and then from Phoenix to the Knicks, the reason why he got traded so many times was because people said, this guy is a phenomenal scorer. He's a phenomenal talent. He's an underrated defender. When he's a willing defender, he can be very good. He just gets lazy sometimes at defensive end. He is a phenomenal open court passer. That's who Stephon Marbury was. Stephon Marbury was electric. For a 10-year, 12-year period, he was one of the 20 best players talent-wise in the NBA. But every team said, well, he didn't work out in Minnesota. Maybe he'll work in Jersey. And then Jersey traded him for Jason Kidd, and Phoenix said, well, he didn't work in the Nets organization, but he'll work here. And then Phoenix traded him to the Knicks because the Knicks said, we need star power. Maybe he'll work here. I think Ben Simmons is on a similar trajectory, Nick from Brigantine. I think that Ben Simmons is the guy that teams say he has talent. We'll make it work here. Just because it didn't work there doesn't mean it can't work here. That's how teams think. So I don't think his value has changed at all, Nick. I think it is teams know who Ben Simmons is, and they think that his situation doesn't just work in Philadelphia. And as Bally Sports NBA insider Brandon Scoopy Robinson told us here on 97.3 ESPN, you can see the full details at 97.3 ESPN.com. Ben Simmons has wanted out of Philadelphia since 2019. That's the reporting that's out there. Now, he hasn't said much about it, but there's been speculation now for a couple of years that Ben Simmons wants out. That's not new news to anybody. And if Ben Simmons wanted out for a while and teams have gotten a sniff of that information, guess what? There's a lot of teams who are maybe preparing a welcome party for Ben Simmons because they think that he's a solution to their problems. Because if he goes to a team like Minnesota, he's not the first, second option on the team. He doesn't have to be the star on the team. He goes to a team like Sacramento, he might be the best player, but Sacramento, nobody's paying attention to him like they are in Philadelphia. He goes to a team like San Antonio, he's got Popovich in that organization that'll keep him in line. You know, wherever Ben Simmons goes, it's going to be a different situation. And I think that other teams look at Ben Simmons and say, we know what his value is. We have a certain evaluation on him, but nobody was going to offer a big deal for Ben Simmons during the summer because at the end of the day, Daryl Morey is playing the role of a car salesman. Daryl Morey went to the other NBA teams and said, this is the value of Ben Simmons. And the team said, well, we're not willing to pay that. And Daryl Morey says, well, when you get desperate to buy this car or acquire Ben Simmons, come talk to me. Now teams are getting desperate because a team like the Timberwolves, their star player is now complaining. And when your star player starts complaining, you don't want to be the New Orleans Pelicans. You want to be the Milwaukee Bucks. That's what Portland's trying to do. That's what Minnesota's trying to do. These organizations are trying to mimic what the Milwaukee Bucks did. They're trying to say, we have a superstar who we drafted, who we developed. We want to keep them happy. And the Bucks bent over backwards to get Giannis the help that he needed. So Antetokounmpo, Middleton, and Drew Holiday eventually won an NBA championship. I think other teams around the league are trying to mimic that same thing. So a team like Portland, they want to build around Lillard. A team like Minnesota wants to build around Karl Anthony Towns. Even a team like Denver's only 12-13 this year. Now, I don't think Denver's going to be able to get Ben Simmons, but I'm just using them as an example. There's a lot of desperate teams out there. And if Minnesota is desperate enough to keep Karl Anthony Towns happy, well, you better do it soon because you're 11-15. You're 26 games into an 82-game season. It's put up or shut up time, boys. All right, we'll get more of your text messages. I got to get to Dan in EHT. Talked a little about the Eagles a little bit earlier, so we'll get to Dan from EHT's text a little bit later as well. Josh Hennig hanging out with you in the Matt Black Kia studios here on 97.3 ESPN. About 15 minutes from now, we'll talk UFC 269 with ESPN MMA reporter Marc Raimondi, as UFC 269 is tonight. Not one, but two championship belts are on the line on pay-per-view on ESPN Plus tonight. So we'll get into all of that as well as my picks for the weekend presented by FanDuel Sportsbook at Bally's Hotel Casino in Atlantic City, right here on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. It's free. Thanks to First Bank of CLC. And we are live on YouTube at 97.3 ESPN. I'm Josh Hennig, and this is Sports Bash Saturday.
It's Sixers basketball tonight on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the 76ers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
Maxey to Harris, what a slam by Tobias Harris, right down Broad Street, a two-hand slam.
The Sixers host the Warriors. Coverage begins at 8:30. Philadelphia 76ers basketball on your radio home of the Sixers in South Jersey, 97.3 ESPN.
Tyndall Auto Plaza has the area's largest selection of pre-owned vehicles of all makes and models, with over 170 pre-owned vehicles on their huge 100-acre lot. Everything from sporty coupes to SUVs to trucks. Tyndall offers the area's best buying experience, easy and hassle-free, with 60 years of customer satisfaction and community service. Discover why Tyndall customers are so loyal. Shop for your next pre-owned vehicle at Tyndall Auto Plaza, exit 10 of the Parkway, Stone Harbor Boulevard, or online at KindleAutoplaza.com.
Deborah Heart and Lung Center and Cleveland Clinic Heart Vascular and Thoracic Institute have formed a powerful alliance. Legends in caregiving New Jersey families, the most sophisticated heart team in America. Innovators in research and patient care who've made life better for thousands of patients, raising the standard for the next generation of care. The alliance between Deborah Heart and Lung Center and Cleveland Clinic Heart Vascular and Thoracic Institute means the highest quality care close to home for you. DemandDeborah.org.
Get to Matt Blatt Kia during the Command the Season sales event and put $0 down. Pay 0 interest for 60 months or make no payments for 90 days. Stuck in a loan or lease? Matt Blatt Kia can get you released. We want to approve you today. Choose from the largest selection of certified pre-owned Kias at mattblattkia.com. So bring us any trade, no matter the make, no matter the mileage, no matter the condition. So treat yourself this holiday season and drive away in a new Kia with 0 down and 0 interest for 60 months on every 2022 Kia Stinger, or make no payments until next year during the Command the Season sales event.
It's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
Offers with approved Tier 1 or 2 credit through Kia Motors Finance. Not all will qualify. 0% based on 1667 per 1,000 borrowed. Negative equity financed into new loan. Excludes taxes, title, license. Offers don't combine. Call 877-289-6670 or go to mattblattkianj.com for complete details. Expires 1/3/22.
Matt Blatt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
And now on Route 37 in Toms River.
This is Sports Bash Saturday with Josh Hennig, live from the Matt Blatt Kia Studios. Here's Josh Hennig.
Our NFL picks for the weekend are being brought to you by my friends over at the FanDuel Sportsbook at Bally's Hotel Casino in Atlantic City. The retail sportsbook features 5 betting windows, a large video wall, a sports ticker, 20 self-service betting kiosks, and various lounge seats. Get your game face on and score big this weekend when you bet FanDuel Sportsbook only at Bally's Atlantic City. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. I'll get you some of my NFL thoughts on the lines and spreads in just a minute, but first, promised, your guys' text 609-403-0973. Dan from EHT chimed in because I opened the show talking some Eagles. Dan says, because 2 things says, Josh, number 1, do you think we'll see Minshew again this year? I'm sorry, I mean Uncle Rico. I think we'll see Minshew if Hurts gets injured. I think we'll see Minshew if it's not a blowout win for the Eagles. I don't see a scenario where Minshew comes in if Hurts has like a, 5 for 10 first half with no touchdowns, no interceptions, though. Maybe if Hurts throws like 3 interceptions again, I can see them rationalizing bringing Minshew. But this season was always about finding out who the players are you have. And that's why, Dan, you can disagree with me all you want about my assessment of the Eagles. Because, if you feel like if the Eagles go 1-5 or 0-6 in the division, it's a failure of a season, that's your opinion. To me, the Eagles this year is always about evaluating the talent on the field. It was about seeing, can Jalen Hurts grow and develop into a quality starting NFL quarterback? Who is Jordan Mailata? Who is Landon Dickerson? Who is Javon Hargrave? Is Fletcher Cox still the guy that we gave all that money to? Who are these linebackers? Is our safety position good enough? To me, this year was about learning things. It was never about it was never about just wins and losses. Now, the wins and losses are a byproduct if the team plays well. But if you came into the season and told me this season was about learning who the guys are, then I agree with you. But if you believe that it's a failure of a season because you don't win a lot of games in the division, then I think that your perspective on the team, the Eagles' perspective on the team, are just very different. That's all. Again, I'm coming at it from a big picture in building and developing a team. If you want to come at it as just a pure wins and loss perspective, then yes, that would be a disappointment and a failure. But to me, the fact that you have more wins than last year, the offense has shown you that they can score this year. The fact that the team is overall just a better product on the field this year, to me, is a sign of growth and development. Doesn't mean they're a great team. Doesn't mean I'm thrilled. Doesn't mean I want to rip them on a day after the game if they play bad. It just means that they're better than I thought they were, or they're better than maybe you thought they were. All right, a couple games to keep an eye on. First of all, tomorrow in the NFL, the Saints and the Jets over-under is 43. I love the under in that game. Right here on 97.3 ESPN, you can hear Cowboys versus Washington. Coverage begins at 12:30 p.m. tomorrow. Kickoff at 1. I feel like Washington and Dallas is just going to be a close game. I feel like that's going to be a game where both sides are going to just fight intensely. I think Dallas wins the game, but I feel like 4.5 might be much. I can see Dallas winning by a field goal in that game. So maybe you go with Washington football team in the plus 4.5 right now. Another game I'm going to keep an eye on tomorrow is because you guys know me and my over-unders. The Lions and the Broncos over-under is 42. Are you really going to tell me that game's going to score a lot of points? I just don't see it at all. The under 42.5 seems like a logical play. I would like the Chargers to cover the 9 against the Giants. The Giants team is a dumpster fire right now. And without Daniel Jones, they don't really have an offense. He basically bails them out of plays. So Chargers will win by 10, covers the 9 in that situation. And all those lines brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook at Ballastone Casino in Atlantic City. We'll get the UFC 269 preview next. Marc, ESPN MMA reporter on the other side, right here on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. And we are live on YouTube at 973 ESPN. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Sports Bash Saturday.
Today, it's one of college football's greatest traditions when Army meets Navy. Hey, folks, this is Jason Horowitz of Westwood One Sports. Join John Sadak, Ross Tucker, and Tina Cervasio from MetLife Stadium for all the pageantry and the action. Can the Black Knights win the Commander-in-Chief's trophy again, or will the midshipmen have the upset and their biggest win of the year? If it's the Army-Navy game, it's right here.
On 97.3 ESPN, coverage begins at 2 p.m.
With GMF approval excludes Corvette. Hold everything. Before you sell or trade your vehicle, get to Bennett Chevy for the best offer ever. Now till the end of the year, Bennett Chevrolet is paying a minimum $8,000 for any trade. That's the starting offer. $8,000 for any old bomb you can get to our lot towards any pre-owned vehicle in stock. Think about that. If we're paying a minimum $8,000, imagine how much more we'll pay for a good trade. And we'll buy yours even if you don't buy ours. Bennett wants your trade. So grab your title or payment book and get here today. Looking for new? We all know the high prices dealers are charging these days, but Bennett still refuses the opportunity to charge a penny over MSRP. Stuck in a lease? We can get you out early. Every make and model. Come see what your vehicle's worth today. There's absolutely no obligation and no pressure, because our non-commissioned sales staff is paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. Find new roads at Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Hey, South Jersey, it's Mike Gill. You bet Michigan to win the college football championship. Prop swappers want your sports bet. Michigan was 100-1 this year. Now they're just 2 wins away from winning it all. Prop Swap has thousands of buyers waiting to buy all your sports bets, and they're paying big money. Maybe you have a long shot Cincinnati ticket or in pro football. How about a New England ticket? All these teams are selling for huge money on Prop Swap. So cash in right now by going to PropSwap.com or download the free Prop Swap app.
This is Sports Bash Saturday with Josh Hennig, live from the Matt Blatt Kia Studios. Here's Josh Hennig.
All right, final segment of the show. You know I love to get into my UFC conversation. We'll give you my official picks before we get out of here. But right now, joining us on the phone line to preview UFC 269, not one but two title fights on the pay-per-view, plus a lot of interesting action, including Sugar Sean O'Malley, also Cody Garbrandt dropping down the 125 weight class. Marc Raimondi, ESPN MMA reporter, joins us right now here on 97.3 ESPN FM. Marc, how is Vegas treating you?
What's up, Josh? How are you, man?
I'm doing pretty good. And you know what? I love this card tonight, not just because there's title fights, but because I feel like you could literally write a story on every single fight on this main card here.
You're 100% right. It is a card that is rich with storylines coming in. It's a card that is rich with, future things that could happen if dominoes fall in place for certain fighters. It's a great year-end card for the UFC on many levels, but it's just a deep card with just a lot of things to talk about, frankly.
Let's start with the top of the card here. Charles Oliveira is the current lightweight champion, but he's fighting a guy who pretty much believes that he is himself a champion, Dustin Poirier. And I feel like this is an interesting fight, not just because of the fact that Oliveira is going to defend the belt for the first time, but because I feel like Poirier is pretty much in his prime. Like, to me, this is peak Dustin right now.
I think you're 100% right on. I feel like this is the best Dustin Poirier that we've ever seen right now. And it's coming in his early 30s, right? He's not 28, he's not 27. He's in his early 30s now. But look what he's been able to do this year. I mean, how many people in the history of combat sports can say they beat someone like Conor McGregor, knocked him out twice in the same year? And in this exact same year that happened, he has one chance left to go for the title in December at the end of the year. I mean, if he wins this fight on Saturday, he is the fighter of the year, in my opinion, because I know Kamaru Usman had an amazing year, but I mean, you knock out Conor McGregor twice, and at the end of the year, you're holding the gold belt. I mean, what's better than that? You got the gold bullion, the money you made from McGregor, and the gold belt if you beat Charles Oliveira on Saturday.
I've heard some people suggest that Oliveira is being disrespected right now. I know he's a betting underdog, and a lot of New Jersey sports books are over here. Do you think Oliveira is getting respected, or are we giving too much respect to Poirier?
I do think Charles Oliveira is getting slightly disrespected, and look, it's a product of Dustin Poirier being a fan favorite. He's a much more familiar name to a lot of people. Charles Oliveira was a guy, he's been in the UFC for a very long time, but he very rarely got like the high profile main event level fights, whereas someone like a Dustin Poirier has been fighting in main events now for years and years and years. So I think that's a little bit why. So I think people are just not as familiar with the Charles Oliveira name. But let's put it into context, Josh. Charles Oliveira has the most finishes and the most submissions in the history of the UFC. So that is saying something right there. The guy's been doing it for a long time at a high level, and he, like Poirier, is also in his prime right now.
Marc Raimondi, ESPN MMA reporter, joining us here on Sports Bash Saturday on 97.3 ESPN. Of course, you can follow him on Twitter at Marc_Raimondi for all of your UFC and MMA inside information. Now, the co-main event is just as fascinating, Marc, because we all know, or anybody who follows sport knows, that Amanda Nunes is the woman's goat at this point. She has done everything and anything. But Juliana Pena really thinks that she's going to come in here and beat her. And there's something said about the fact of a fighter as confident as Juliana, she might not win this fight. I think most people in their right mind are picking not Juliana, they're picking Amanda Nunes. But guess what? If Pena really believes she can go in there and give her a fight, if nothing else, at least we'll be entertained tonight.
I completely agree, and what you said is very true. Juliana Pena is incredibly confident, and that is a credit to her. Look, she has said all the right things this week as far as her demeanor, her attitude, her confidence. Borderline, cocky, but you need that. I mean, I feel like a lot of Amanda Nunes opponents recently, Josh, have not had that swagger coming into the fight. I think there's a little bit of a fear there. And I understand why. Nunes I mean, all she has done is wreck shop. She's won 12 in a row. She's knocked out Rousey, Cyborg, Tate, Holly Holm, a who's who. She's beaten Valentina Shevchenko. So there is that intimidation factor. This woman has beaten everyone that has stood against her, including some of the luminaries of the sport. But Juliana Pena just doesn't care, man. Like she really is that person. It's not an act. She really does have that unbridled confidence, and if you don't have that against Nunes, you're not going to win. I'm not going to say that Juliana Pena is going to come in tonight and beat Nunes, but she has the ingredients to do it from a mindset standpoint.
And listen, I appreciate, Mark, the fact that a lot of people are saying, look, the flaw, if there is a flaw in Amanda Nunes' game, is the fact that she hasn't fought a lot of wrestlers who have the kind of ground game like Pena does. But I got to tell you something, man. I spent a lot of time this year around Kayla Harrison because of all my coverage of the PFL. And, watching her and Amanda and all those folks down there in Florida training together, I got to think that there's almost nothing that Juliana can present to Amanda in a grappling situation that Amanda hasn't already seen if she's working as much as they say she is with Kayla.
Yeah, I mean, certainly it's nice to have a training partner that just so happens to be a two-time Olympic gold medalist in Kayla Harrison in judo. So that's pretty great. It is slightly different. Well, I definitely agree with what you're saying. It is slightly different because Pena comes from a traditional American wrestling background, whereas Kayla Harrison comes from a judo background. So it's slightly different, but I certainly do not think Juliana Pena is going to be able to just walk in there and take Nunes down at will. I really do not believe that. And Amanda Nunes, you have to really, really give credit to her because she looks like she's in phenomenal shape. Everything that I've heard, and I was down in American Top Team a few weeks ago, everything that I've heard from everyone down there is that she has worked harder this camp. She's in the best shape of her life. And she feels like she has reached almost another level, which is a frightening proposition for everyone else because she's already the best, So, and how rarely do we see, really the GOAT of women's MMA, someone like her actually build upon what she's done. She's actually working to get better. She's not resting on her laurels. That is so impressive. And, Juliana Pena is running into, not only the best ever, but maybe the best ever who is even better than we thought she was, which is it'll make for an interesting fight. Well, let's put it that way.
Now, assuming that Amanda Nunes wins like we expect her to, what would be next for her at this point?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Now, the options are not they're limited, right? There's not a lot of broad options here for Nunes. I think that one thing that I would like the UFC to revisit. Heavyweight champion, she is on a run. Is on a run in different divisions. And they fought twice, and I know that Nunes won twice, but the second fight was very close. It was a split decision for Nunes, and personally, I thought Shevchenko won. I think there is unfinished business there. I think that they are two of the best female fight. I mean, are the two best in the UFC. One. They have.
Josh Hennig here on Sports Bash Saturday on 97.3 ESPN. Having a little trouble with Marc Raimondi's phone. We'll try to cue him back up here in just a moment. UFC 269 is tonight. Of course, that's two title fights on the card. Amanda Nunes defending her belt against Juliana Pena. And, of course, the main event, Charles the Bronx Oliveira defending his belt for the first time against Dustin Poirier. We'll try to bring Marc Raimondi back up here. Mark, you got me now?
Yeah, I hear you.
All right, we lost you there for a minute. You were talking about Shevchenko, and then we lost you.
Oh man, it must be this hotel Wi-Fi. My apologies.
So what did you say after the Shevchenko rematch? What was else you said?
Yeah, I would like them to run it back. I know Nunes has won both of those fights, but the second one was very close. It was a split decision, and personally, I thought Shevchenko won the fight. So I would like to see them try to run that one back. And I know the UFC's been a little hesitant about it, but there aren't many options for both women in their respective divisions. I say why not? I think the time is right if Nunes gets by Anya.
And then on the flip side, for the main event, what do you think is next for each guy, Oliveira and Poirier, if either one of them wins? So what do you think is next for the winner of tonight?
I think it has to be Justin Gaethje next in line, coming off that incredible win over Marc Chandler, just a freaking war last month in MSG.
All right, we're losing Marc over there. Hopefully we can pop him back up one more time. He mentioned Justin Gaethje. Obviously, that is the guy they would go head-to-head with, would be the winner. And I agree with him. I think that would be the best option for tonight. We'll try to queue up Marc one more time because we lost him there for a moment. Marc, you still got me? And we lost Marc altogether. All right, well, we tried to get him. We almost had him for the full segment, but we lost him. Josh Hennig here on Sports Bash Saturday on 97.3 ESPN. You can follow Marc on Twitter at Marc_Raimondi. Hopefully he can get his cell phone Wi-Fi signal situated over there out in Vegas. All right, before I let you guys go, I love giving you some picks each night. My pick of the week actually is not on the main card. My pick of the week is the top of the prelims. I love Dan Ige to win tonight. Josh Emmett has not fought at all this calendar year. And unless you are an elite fighter, I don't believe in guys taking too much time off. Unless you're one of the best all time, you're a John Jones, or you're a Dominic Cruz, or you're someone who is like in the greatest of all time. I just can't believe in you to go out there and take that much time off and still be able to be a great fighter. So for me, I look at it like this. I feel like Ige can win tonight. He's got good values, plus 130 right now. He was 134 yesterday. So obviously, some of you out there listening to me, jumping on your FanDuel Sportsbook app. If you're new to FanDuel Sportsbook, you can sign up with promo code Hennig and get your first bet risk-free up to $1,000. The other thing I like tonight is I love Sean O'Malley to win tonight. I think Sean O'Malley is the most fearless fighter in MMA right now. And if you combine O'Malley with Amanda Nunes, along with my bet of the week, Dan Ige, as a three-way parlay of plus 229, a $10 wager will walk you away with $23. I'm Josh Hennig, at Josh Hennig on Twitter. I'll be tweeting during the fights tonight. Have a great weekend, everybody. I'll catch you Monday at 6 on Game Night.
It's the NFL on Sports USA, and we're in the Sunshine State as the Buffalo Bills storm into Tampa Bay to battle the Super Bowl champion Buccaneers. The Bills and Josh Allen can sling the ball around to Sanders, Beasley, or Diggs. Tom Brady and the Bucs are setting a course for the end zone with Fournette and Godwin leading the way.
End around, Godwin is going to go in. Touchdown!
It's the Bills at the Bucs. This Sunday on Sports USA.
It's NFL Sunday on 97.3 ESPN. Coverage begins after Game 1 of our triple header.